20 points. That's the separation between two of the top drivers this season. J.R. Shepherd has been lights out throughout the entire campaign, with once again multiple victories at multiple different types of short tracks. But it's Kenny Kibbe who's keeping the pressure up and then some. After some ups and downs throughout the campaign, the question marks remain. Can anyone catch up to Shepherd? And will bad luck strike after several competitors had that happen several times this season? We're about to find out here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual Lanier Raceplex for Race 9 of Season 5 for the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series. I'm Justin Prince. Alongside of the booths tonight is Devin Henry. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. For these drivers tonight, they're all getting prepared for what's expected to be an interesting race at this 0.38 mile facility. Let's learn more about the Lanier Raceplex with our GSRC track guy.
Lanier National Speedway, now known as Lanier Raceplex, finally started seeing racing again here just a few years ago. Before the track went silent in 2011, it was a common feature on touring short track series schedules across the southeastern United States. From super late models, street stocks, and legends, they all were here. The Wayland Modified Tour and ARCA even made some stops here as well. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, the Grand National Series, now Xfinity Series, made 5 stops here. The last, 1992, won by eventual NASCAR Cup Series champion and fellow iRacer, Bobby Labonte. The track has since reopened and been given a facelift. Nowadays, mostly go-karts and legend cars takes their turn around this facility, but occasionally, the rumble of V8s can be heard, and not just at nearby Road Atlanta, as super late models have raced around Lanier as recently as November of 2019, as a prelude to that year's Snowball Derby in Pensacola. Enjoy today's race.
That's a look at your GSRC track guide for the Lanier Raceplex. Now let's bring our broadcast partner for tonight, Devin Henry, as the lap times are quick. And it's very important you stick around the bottom here. Your thoughts for these drivers here tonight.
Oh, an absolute bottom feeder here in Braselton, Georgia. Gotta love this 3/8 mile. It's one of the tracks you can drive both on asphalt and on dirt. You kind of start at one of these tracks early on in your iRacing career. But the biggest part about this track, Justin, is attacking the corners. You can gain so much time on corner entry by just absolutely blitzing the corner. An easy way to get up on someone's left rear quarter panel, make the pass quickly. But of course, what we talk about every single week with these short tracks and heavy braking zones is not eating up that right front tire. Being able to find that balance between that corner entry speed and that right front wear off will be the key to winning tonight's race.
It's going to be very important for several drivers to have some good performances and then some today, to say the very least, especially with their championship standings. As talked about, J.R. Shepherd holds a 20-point advantage over Kenny Kibbe entering tonight's race. Kibbe with 288 points on the season, 308 for Shepherd. James Lowe is just behind them, third, 21 points back. Justin Morton, 28 points behind. Austin Belke, 63 points behind, entering tonight's action. Of course, Shepherd, Kibbe, and Lowe have all found their way to victory lane so far in the 8 previous races so far. Speaking of tonight's action, let's take a look at our race details for tonight, Devin, as we get ready for race number 9.
Yeah, race number 9, we are coming down to the championship quickly. As you mentioned, Justin, this is the time that you need to go out and make some prove-it races. 100 laps at every single short track that we go to, but of course, no tire changes. So whatever tires you end the race with, those are the tires that you start the race with as well. So you gotta take care of your rubbers. And then, of course, all important, only one fast repair. Don't get caught up in a short track incident early and burn that up. And my favorite way how we set the field here, how they finished last week, is how we start this week, except we invert the top 8. So your winners from last week coming from about mid-pack here tonight.
Right now, drivers are in the midst of their final practice of the night. As let's take the opportunity to speak with someone that's currently circulating around the racetrack and in the championship fight. It's Kenny Kibbe that now joins us here as he works his way around the racetrack. Kenny, do you have a copy?
You got me?
Yes, we do.
All right, cool.
First things first, how are you feeling about tonight's race? Currently, you're actually in 18th on the board with a 14.517.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just practicing, just running around the track, getting some laps. I don't really try to always put down a quick, fast lap in practice, so where I'm at here is not going to be really indicative of my race pace. I'm just trying to be nice and smooth and get ready for this thing.
How critical is that for tonight at this racetrack, especially since loose conditions were seen for both the straight stocks and the modifieds earlier tonight?
Oh yeah, you certainly have to be patient around this place. You really need to be able to wrap the bottom, and you can't be too antsy to get back up on the throttle. And really, to be honest with you, I'm going to be letting off the throttle like at the start-finish line. So you're not on the throttle much around this little place, and it's going to be important to really manage that, is because you just can't burn your tires up, especially in these cars.
Now, one last quick question before we let you get back out for practice. What do you feel it's going to take to overall win the race, to be able to come away with the checker flag tonight at this track?
Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot of patience. I'm going to need to be calculating with my moves. You're going to need to be on that bottom line as much as possible. And the thing is, you really need to manage your runs coming out of the corners so that you can set up your passes going into the next corner. And it's hard to pass because the straightaways are so short around here. But yeah, if we can take every advantage that we can and minimize our mistakes, could get another win today.
Thank you very much for your time, Kenny. We'll let you get back to practice.
Sounds good.
That's Kenny Kibbe joining us once again from the number 14 machine, Nocturnal Gaming Machine, currently 18 on the board, but as he mentioned, not concerned. It's about logging laps in preparation for tonight, Devin, especially with the championship positioning on the balance and needing to close up points to J.R. Shepard in the next couple races.
And looking back at last season's race here at Lanier, en route to his first championship in the Grand National Series, Kibbe winning that race, only leading 11 laps. Late pass on James Lowe, another one of those championship competitors, and patience ends up being the key when you have your tires so worn out. And something that I really liked hearing from him was about that corner exit. I mean, there's another balance right there. You don't want to get on the throttle too quickly. The rear end will slip out, but at the same time, like you mentioned, there's not a lot of time to pass here with how short these straightaways are. So the balance of getting on the gas to get an advantage on the car in front of you and not overdoing it so you're not facing the other direction halfway through the corner, that's another part of this track, and making those late passes on 90-lap old tires.
Now, practice is underway as talked about for these drivers, and at the moment, it's James Lowe, J.R. Shepard, Ruben Altis, Mike Holloway, Jason Menda, your top five, separated by a couple 100ths of a second. The track is also very hot, and that's been one of the consistent marks throughout the night, is hot track temperatures. 87 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment is the track temp. Under the lights, approaching 9 p.m. in Sin time. That is blistering hot on iRacing Day, May 15th, 2021.
Yeah, and it feels like May 15th. That is some hot temperatures on this Lanier track. And nowadays, Lanier is just a black pond. There is no infield, and with that very black surface that they have nowadays at Raceplex, weather like this would make it essentially like a bottle of oil just slipping and sliding around, as we see one driver slipping and sliding around right here with a little bit of contact. But even though this track isn't quite that dark, it still does a good job in taking heat. And that's another thing that iRacing implemented last season, was where the tires are, where people are running, that part of the surface also becomes warm as well. So this, with the lights coming on, the sun's going down, the temperature will cool down a little bit, but since you have these drivers on track, it's not going to cool down enough where it's going to be not too slick. They're going to have to fight this condition all night.
Take a look at Kenny Kibbe, who's now 13th, and we'll have this opportunity to be able to view him throughout the night. As you can see, putting in nice and patient laps with that wheel, trying to minimize those wheel movements. As he mentioned, that's going to be very critical here, since these lap times are going to be quick. The races so far tonight have had no caution flags in both the straight stocks for 40 laps and the Tour Modifieds for 100 laps. Both ended up being about 15 and 22 minutes respectively.
Boy, I just wish that I was that smooth on the wheel like Kenny Kibbe is there, and that's going to help out later in the race when you can't make those sudden movements because of how much rubber is still left on the tire. And you go back to last year, I mean, how remarkable would it be to go 220 laps or 40 laps, green flag tonight between the 3 different series. Last season, no cautions. This was one of the tracks that this series went wire to wire, so I'm not going to say that it's impossible, but with the kind of adrenaline that some of these drivers are going to be feeling late in this race, I'm not saying it's probable though either.
As we continue to look on board with some of these drivers, keep in mind that the new build is on the horizon too, Devin, and that means new season lineups on the horizon as well. The 2021 Season 2 lineups for Bootleg Racing League were unveiled. As for Friday night action, you have the Dirt Straight Stock Series, followed by Super Late Models, which will be featured on the pavement, the asphalt in particular, where those drivers will be utilizing that new updated Super Late Model that's coming into play. Plus, there's the Truck Series that takes place on the Friday nights, then Street Stock Store Modifieds Grand National Series on Saturday. So an interesting addition to the lineup there was Season 13 for the Super Late Model Series. That's going to see that update on the Friday nights.
This will make things interesting for these Saturday nights because Bootleg went almost all in on dirt on Friday nights just a couple seasons ago, and now they're moving to the point where there's going to be 5 asphalt races over the course of 2 nights in the Bootleg Racing League. And so a lot of these guys that you see here tonight, this is race number 3 tonight for them, running earlier in the street stocks and the modifieds, now here in the Grand National cars. Well, moving forward, they might be racing those late models and the trucks on Friday and then coming back the very next day and running 3 more cars on the same track. And in my mind, Justin, even though all of those cars are completely different disciplines, really, having that experience, having those laps at a single track for that many laps can mean a lot come Saturday night in these big Grand National Series events.
And we'll get the chance to talk more about some of the tracks that will be some of the additions for the upcoming season during the race tonight. But for our drivers, they have wrapped up their final practice for tonight. James Lowe had the quickest time of 14.223, but as talked about, the inversion is all set to go for tonight. It's time to get ready to see how these drivers will line up for tonight's action for the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series from the virtual Lanier Raceplex. On the pole tonight, it's Mike Allen. He'll start alongside Kurt Smith in row 1. Bruce Pearson starts in row 2 alongside Mark Herzog. Keep an eye on him in the 4th position. James Lowe will start in 5th tonight with Kenny Kibbe in 6th spot, with Justin Morton and J.R. Shepard rounding out the inversion spots. Joe Sagawa and Jason Mendel round out your top 10 tonight.
Mike Holloway will start off inside of row number 6 with Ruben Altice next to him. Austin Belke and the always Jeff Gordon throwback starts inside of row number 7. Low Jewel, the boss man, starts off in 14. Donnie Moore starts inside of row number 8. Chris Wolfson will start outside in 16th. Adam Shane starts tonight in the 17th position. Jeffrey Harden finished 4th here last season. He has quite the trek, starting from 18th. And Ryan Seneca rounds out your 19-car field here at Lanier.
Drivers now ready to get rolling as the temperatures have dropped for these drivers down to 84 degrees track temp, 81 degrees air temp, winds gusting to the west at 4 miles an hour, humidity at 58% for tonight. In sim time, just about 9 p.m. for these competitors. On that note, your quick keys to victory for tonight's action.
Well, with just a little balmy 84-degree track temperature, don't fight the track here tonight. Try to play nicely with the track. Otherwise, those rear tires are going to come out from under you. You're going to slip, slide, spin out, bang the wall. Another piece, take advantage of the driver's mistakes in front of you to get that inside lane. Everyone will be fighting for real estate tonight.
Drivers ready to go here tonight from the Lanier Raceplex. Who will take home the checker flag for race number 9? We're about to find out. iRacing pace car is off. Green flag is out. We're underway from the Lanier Raceplex.
Good jump from Kurt Smith, able to keep P2 all to himself. But Mike Allen there got the jump. Mark Herzog not letting go on the outside lane.
Herzog mentioned him in some of his good performances, trying to use that high side to try and squeeze down Bruce Pearson. May have just about got himself clear into turn 3. No. Still hanging on to the fender as Pearson now side by side for second is Herzog.
How about this? Utilizing that outside lane. Wasn't sure if this would come in so early with just how hot the temperatures were. Really need grip up there to make this work and have the most momentum possible. But here off of turn number 2, Herzog uses the outside lane to clear for P2.
Now it's going to be the tough part of trying to hold on to the bottom line as this track continuously builds its rubber up. And the reason that top line can work at times is the ability to pinch down and force the driver down low. But our first caution of the night is out, and it's a pile up in turn 4. Austin Belke, Adam Shane. Also involved around that incident appeared to have been Mike Holloway, as we're under caution for the first time tonight in any BRL series.
143 laps green, and then unfortunately this is the first one of the night between the 3 series. Adam Shane in the black number 65 here, Wolfson on his outside. And it all happens in front of him. Nothing Shane can do but stop and wait for everyone else to go by. It looks like Joe Segala, maybe Holloway there get together. We'll take another look back at this. Down the back straightaway. Bennett comes down the track. And the 81 Segala with a big checkup, and Holloway not able to react in time, and 4 cars are headed to the back of the field.
Yeah, that was a big time move to go from the top all the way to the bottom, but the hole just opened up. Can't blame Menda for trying to hold on to the bottom line.
And that's where everyone wants to be, I think. I guess if you're Mark Herzog, there's going to be a few guys who, if anyone has spotters, they're watching Herzog right now, because that move for P2 may be extremely meaningful as this race goes on, having everyone else except for 1 car behind you. So we will see if he has anything for Mike Allen on this restart. Remember, guys, leaders will control here on green.
Mike Allen trying to warm up the tires at the front of the field still, as majority of the drivers only picking up 1 or 2 positions outside of Herzog, though. +3 for Woljul as a result of that incident. Dottie Moore, Chris Wolfson, Ryan Seneca +5, Jeffrey Harden +3. One to go signal this time by. See how Mark Herzog does now that the gap is closed up between him and Allen. Point where he's going to be side by side for this restart.
And how about James Lowe? Will be starting in the 4th position. Did he learn anything from what Mark Herzog did to take away P3? This is a guy who needs to get a great finish tonight.
Bit of a delayed start from Mike Allen this time keeps Mark Herzog side by side into turns 1 and 2. Behind them, James Lowe picked up a spot off the jump. He is now side by side with Kurt Smith. Herzog trying to get the squeeze, slide back up from Allen at the stripe.
Great battle here on the top side from Mark Herzog. Has a little bit of a nose here coming off of turn number 2. On board with Kurt Smith. Has probably the best view of this battle, but he's in his own fight here. James Lowe has the inside on him.
That was after the cross-up attempt, as now Herzog. Can he get clear of Allen this time? Yes, indeed. Herzog just about got the very edge of it clear in the first set of corners. Does down the front straightaway. Herzog now your race leader.
A lot of these guys from the East Coast going, what's that custom sponsor passing me by? Bringing In-N-Out Burger from the West Coast out front here in Georgia.
And keep in mind, drivers will have the opportunity this upcoming season to be able to visit Irwindale Speedway for the second to last round, so they will be making a California stop during 2021 Season 2 of iRacing's rotation of series. But for now, that In-N-Out Burger machine is pulling away by more than 6/10.
On board here with J.R. Shepard, your points leader and multi-time champion in the Grand National Series. I think he's up to 50 championships across all of BRL. I'd have to go recheck, but it's somewhere around there regardless. And you get a glimpse there of just how good he is.
Yeah, he has been dominant, to say the very least, in BRL competition. Entering tonight, he's your points leader in all 3 Saturday night series.
How about these guys up front starting to break away the top 5 is, although Herzog is playing on a blistering pace, we'll see if that comes back to haunt him with that right front. But I'm watching James Lowe right now having difficulties with Mike Allen. That 59 rear bumper has been wide here as we have another caution coming out.
Bruce Pearson among the drivers around this time.
Ooh, Herzog loops it on the, is that the front straight? Holy cow.
Down the back
Herzog
straightaway. Mark Herzog has just looped it around, trying to check up for the pace car. What a moment here. As we'll take a look at the GSRC replay. As first, this is after the caution comes out. You see that pace car. He's going to have to check up by significant margin for the pace car and just loops it around.
Boy, he did a good job not hitting the inside wall there. That was oh so close. I'm not too sure why that car got so squirrely on exit, but at the very least, no damage to the car, which I think is probably the best part of that incident there.
Now, the caution reasoning, by the way, again, was Bruce Pearson, who ended up getting hit after Ruben Altis was sent up the racetrack hard by Lowell Jewell. We'll take a look as you'll see. This is going to be right here. You see the contact, Lowell Jewell and Altis right into Pearson. That loops the 22 around.
Innocent bystander, and what's going to hurt the most is that giant punch afterwards. Gotta hope that there's no rear suspension damage there. Of course, the sheet metal at these short tracks don't mean a lot.
Quick restart this time as Mark Herzog off and away. 79 laps to go. James Lowe from the second row with a good launch, trying to clear on by for second. His championship.
Lowe with a great jump.
Yes, indeed. A great jump to the point where he's now in second spot as a result, currently still 6/10 behind.
Now J.R. Shepard almost making contact there with Mike Allen, and now the number 8 machine is up on the podium. Everyone else does not like to see that. Right behind him, Kenny Kibbe trying to follow him along.
Let's take a look on board from Kibbe, as you can see, trying to be nice and smooth on the steering wheel at the moment. You see from his face, trying to focus on both the mirror and what's in front of him at the moment. Especially take a look at those eyeballs.
Boy, he is locked in right now. And you can kind of see the steering wheel both virtually and in the real world here. Just look at how smooth he's entering those corners. And another piece that I don't really see a lot of drivers doing.
Mike Allen.
Unfortunate for Allen.
Mike Allen, no caution flag, ended up getting hit by a couple drivers. Lowell Jewell as well as Justin Morin both bounced off of him. We stay green. Allen shuffled to 18th position.
Boy, Allen in the top 5 and now shuffled back, and will have to make up all of that distance. We'll take a look back here on the GSRC replay machine. Lowell Jewell sweeps up a little bit, and more than not able to check up in time, locking up the brakes. That was a great job by everyone behind him, avoiding him.
It'll stay green, unfortunately for Allen, 18th spot. Had some struggles in the Tour Modified Series race where he was the only driver who did not finish that respective race, now trying to recover in the battle now with Chris Wolfson. But back up towards the front, it's Herzog, Lowe, Shepard, Kibbe, and Lowell Jewell is in 5th position. The boss man from 14th to 5th so far.
What a drive so far for the number 19, and looking up towards the championship competitors. You know, we've seen Lowell sometimes here, sometimes not, but a great run here tonight to get up into the top 5 in just 30 laps. Question is,
can he hold on? Can Herzog hold on? It's going to be the big question too, especially since he is losing about a half a tenth to a tenth a lap to the drivers behind him, Lowe, Shepard, and Kibbe.
Boy, I'm worried that Mark used up his tires. Whenever we see someone take the lead and just go on a blistering pace and blow away the rest of the field, that usually means they were not taking care of those tires. And you can see Herzog, especially on exit, cannot stick on that yellow line, and James Lowe has that reel in the water right now.
Tell that he is laser focused into at this moment. He does have pressure from behind. Keep in mind, Shepard trying to take some pokes as Herzog gets loose. Here comes Lowe to the outside. This is for the race lead once more.
I don't know if I love this move.
Will this pay off, or will this come back to haunt him? Trying to squeeze hard on Herzog. Herzog squeezes back up. Shepard now side by side for second.
Just can't squeeze him because of all the tire loss that he has. He's just going to come up into you, so you have to be careful here. This is a fine line that James Lowe is riding, because if this goes poorly, you got that 98 right up on your rear bumper trying to take away second.
Lowe's starting to get really loose up there now, in fact, with 64 to go. Fully clear Lars Herzog is now, he's defending the bottom. Lowe trying to send it a bit more hard on the brakes. Now Shepard clears on by. Lowe trying to find a hole. No. Kenny Kibbe nearly gets to as the caution comes out. It's in turn 2. Ryan Seneca, Adam Shane, and several others involved.
Looking back for James Lowe, that was a catch-22 because you saw Herzog get loose. Saved by the caution there, he will retain third, but we'll take a look back and see what happened here with Ryan Seneca in the blue number 61. Adam Shane right behind him, and Justin Morton, who got caught up in that almost incident earlier, stuck way back here in the pack. Looked like the 61 just checked up when the 65 wasn't ready, and then the 65 checked up and the 9 wasn't ready, and that is quite the accordion effect.
Look on board. This is going to be from Justin Morton. He was now in 10th. Yeah, not enough time to even react to that. That's off and away he goes.
Especially when you can't see that the first guy is loose, you don't even understand why the guy in front of you is checking up. So nothing that he could do here, but Justin Morton stuck in the 10th position after that contact earlier on with Mike Allen. That shoved him far back in the field, and this is a driver who could really use a win. The only one to not be in victory lane of your 4 championship competitors.
Taking a look at your biggest movers and positions at the moment, as well as the position losses. You can see minus 14 and minus 13 respectively for Pearson, but a plus 6 for Shepard so far. Jules still a plus 8. He's been dropped back to 6. A plus 7 quietly for Donnie Moore.
And also, Jason Mendez moved up into the top 5. A quiet night for him, but now up into 5th, and we'll get to restart in the all-important inside lane here.
We will have a wave around car here. This caution flag, it will be Shane as a result of his spin in the 65 machine. But the rest of the drivers now getting ready for the restart. It's Herzog, Shepard, Lowe, Kibbe, Menda, Jewell, Smith, Moore, Altice, Morton, your top 10 at the moment. All cars still running on the racetrack on the lead lap at the moment. And so far we've seen some starts waiting for a moment for the green flag. We'll see how Herzog plays this now behind the iRacing pace car. Pace car is off, green flag is out, off and away we go. And a good launch from Herzog. Shepard, though, with a great launch on the high side.
Herzog tried to mix it up. It didn't necessarily work, trying to force the 98 to get stuck on the outside. We'll see if James Lowe can get that second position back, but we know Herzog is hurting right now with that right front, and J.R. Shepard really fighting back on the outside.
Giving it up easily, in fact, to the point where he's now got a bit of a nose's edge at the moment. Kibbe's also trying to make the high line work in the moment. It's clear. He's now holding on to 4th, able to block the 45 of Menda. Bit of a checkup effect behind him as Kurt Smith spins around, stacking up at the bottom of the racetrack. They all wreck at the bottom of the racetrack. No caution flag as 6 or 7 cars have all spun around us. Now there's the yellow flag.
Yeah, that was a parking lot. Segala, Holloway, Jewell, Altice, Wilson, Allen, everyone all caught up in this one. It looks like it starts around where Kurt Smith is. Smith got a little bit loose and essentially collected the rest of the field, I think.
I believe so, because keep in mind you had Kibbe making that move to get to the bottom of the line, then Jason Menda, who got loose in front of him, then Kurt Smith gets hit from behind by the bossman Lowell Jewell, and they all stack up like Legos essentially off of turn 2. You'll see right here, there's that first initial check, the second check, and then the stack up.
Goodness gracious, a parking garage instead. I think maybe about 8 drivers got some sort of contact in that. Go on board here with Joe Segala, see what he saw. Honda's what he saw.
Yeah, he might have seen a bit of the underside of the 11 machine too, but for obvious reasons, Segala, Wolfson, Jeffrey Harden are among the drivers who have come down to the pit lane. Mike Allen also coming down to the pit lane for repairs here.
Almost at exactly halfway. I guess if you have to use your fast repair, it's the time to use it. 1 car for the first half, 1 car for the second half. But remember, no tire changes, so they are still on those same tires, even with the fast repair that they had back on lap number 1. And we will see who has been conserving the best with all of these cars. When you get to the second half of the race, you really get an understanding who was the best at saving their stuff, who couldn't do it, and typically the 98 of J.R. Shepard is a guy in the list of guys who did it well.
Halfway this time by, and it's going to get interesting because the pit lane only has 23 seconds to work with. Several drivers who took faster pairs are now pin laps down. Chris Wolfson was the first car in front of the leaders and will immediately give lap traffic for your battle for the race lead. Shepard trying to make the high line still work. 3 wide off the corner. Herzog makes contact as a result. Shepard to the lead.
And you can say that the lap car needs to get out of the way. There's nowhere to go at this track. Because you can either get out of the way in the corner and everyone goes by you, but you still get that 3 wide off the corner, so there's no good spot for a lap car to move around, and that gave everything that J.R. Shepard needed to take away this lead, and that is the opposite of what James Lowe and Kenny Kibbe like to see. Herzog to the rear bumper of Shepard. Everyone keeps it straight though.
Not able to get to that back bumper, though, as the 98 machine leads with 47 laps to go. James Lowe is now in third, Kibbe in fourth, Menda rounding out the top 5. And again, to explain the situation here, this pit lane is an interesting one where it's one of the more unique ones in all of iRacing, where you have to enter essentially on the exit of turn 4, yes, but it's a very tight pit lane where in some cases you have to go the whole way around. It's only 23 seconds to pace laps tonight, so not a lot of time to be able to get damage repair, let alone a fast repair. Some drivers like Mike Allen have had to come in several times to try and sort out where the box was.
Herzog is really blitzing those corners, looking out of the rear window of J.R. Shepard and getting a mouthful of In-N-Out burger with it. Now this top 3 here, Kenny Kibbe making the move on James Lowe.
Kibbe hungry for a position here in third spot as Lowe got a little bit loose. Loses third position as Menda now tries to lick the stamp. Trying to send it, couldn't get to the inside.
And now Justin Morton making his way through the field. He avoided that last big one that we had. Morton was back in the 12th position just about 30 laps ago and now finds himself into 6th, trying to make up some of those valuable points here in this championship run.
Yeah, this is going to be crucial for him to try and get some of these points back and then some right now for him to stay in this fight for the closing couple races of the season. Just hasn't been able to get the run quite yet to close into the back bumper of the 45 quite yet. He is a touch bit quicker at the moment by a couple 100ths of a second. All while J.R. Shepard continues to lead. He is currently your fastest car on the racetrack outside of Kenny Kibbe.
Talked about, this is all about patience. When do you make the move? And even now, not a great time. Looking out the rear windshield of Jeffrey Harden. Again, lap cars just really don't have anywhere to go unless you just stop on the apron. Then by the time you get back up to speed, the leaders are back around anyway. So you can try your best to get out of the way here, but as long as you're not hindering P1, you just try your best after that. Such a tight track, Justin. So we might see more lap traffic before this is said and done. That might mix up this field even more.
For the Sim Club machine, let's buy your race leader as a result here and right into the racing line for the second on back battle. Mark Herzog comes across the nose of Kibbe as he gets spun around, able to save it. Now trying to drift around as the caution flag is out.
Phenomenal save by Mark Herzog. He should be in the tail of the pack right now, but somehow kept that 57 straight. So Harden comes down into the racing line here, and I believe that forced Herzog to check up going into the corner. And you see Kenny Kibbe just gain up on him here on corner exit. Herzog might have just not known the 14 was quite there yet and does a great job keeping this car straight.
Yeah. Phenomenal save. So we'll look on board from Kibbe, who got the run as a result here, was underneath them.
With a great save too.
Yeah, able to hold on to it there. But brings us under caution now with 34 laps to go this time by and really shakes things up a touch bit. Shepard, Kibbe, Lowe, Menda, Herzog now your top 5 as a result. Have to give credit to Herzog. He's done an impressive job trying to keep that car out of messes. He spun around under caution already once tonight. Now with that massive save in the In-N-Out burger, still able to hold on to the top 5 as talked about, right in front of Justin Morton.
Yeah, been an eventful day to say the least for the number 57 machine. And now looking at your front row of J.R. Shepherd and Kenny Kibbe, I'm wondering if Kibbe has something here for J.R. Shepherd. We saw that's how Herzog took the lead, actually, but no one else is really taking advantage of that outside lane the rest of the night. James Lowe has restarted third multiple times, and he hasn't been able to take over the second position either, so something has to give here, and it could be either way. J.R. Shepherd gain a large lead and trying to take this one riding into the sunset.
See Kibbe now trying to keep calm and focus as we get the one-to-go signal this time by. Keep in mind, the battle for the inversion spot so far has been Austin Belke and Donnie Moore, who are currently battling in row number 4, Bruce Pearson in 9th, also back in that said fight. But for Shepherd, control of the field, green flag is out, off and away we go. Kibbe not able to keep it side by side with Shepherd this time, but does get himself single file just about, with James Lowe providing pressure on the quarter panel.
Lowe did not want to give him that little bit of room, but nonetheless, the 14 slides on in. NG Kibbs trying to make his way. Menda gets loose off the corner into Herzog. Everyone will keep it straight, though.
And Menda's got wheel damage. Can he continue to keep it straight? It's going to be the big question, as parts of the suspension are dragging on the racetrack right now. Currently, several drivers are trying to get around, but sparks are flying from that 45. As Herzog gets loose back into him, huge hit for Menda. He crashes to the inside wall as the caution flag is out.
Well, we thought Menda might have trouble. I don't think we were expecting that to be the trouble, though.
Wow. Let's take a look at what happened, because this started off with that battle, and Menda did a fairly good job at holding on here despite that damage down to the wheel and some of the chassis before the snap.
And major damage for Bruce Pearson as the 45 flew across the windshield. It sticks. iRacing has had a little bit of a glitch with these ARCA machines, where you'll see the wheels like that fly up, and in reality, when you're driving these cars, it doesn't really hurt the car. You saw that Menda was keeping pace, and sometimes even on the driver's side, they don't actually see that damage on their simulator, so I don't think there was probably anything wrong with Menda's car until it ate some In-N-Out burger, and then it got a little bit messy after that. But boy, Mark Herzog had himself a night, and very unfortunate for it to come to a conclusion like that.
Yeah, he is now out of the race officially as a result of that incident. He is out. Jason Menda, for obvious reasons, in the pit lane. Sagawa, Wolfson, Jewel, Mike Allen also laps down at this point, but man, what a big hit. Keep in mind that in the new iRacing build, it was talked about adjustments to the damage model for these cars, so we'll see how things fare after the new build. But speaking of that new season coming up, by the way, let's talk a bit about that schedule, because it will be Nashville to start on March 27th, then a break for Easter weekend, then it's Oxford Plains, North Wilkesboro, Five Flags, South Boston, Southern National, Myrtle Beach, Lanier, Memorial Day off, Martinsville, Irwindale, New Smyrna.
And I'm really looking forward to Oxford Plains, the home of many hosted demo derbies. Excited to see some really talented drivers like in this series go there. Really fun schedule looking like next year.
Indeed, they mix things up at times throughout the campaign with various different tracks rotating in and out. See how some of those tracks fare. The upcoming ski season. Off and away we go. J.R. Shepherd with a great launch. James Lowe side by side for second.
If he trapped on the outside, not a thing he could do as James Lowe takes over the second position. Morton couldn't quite follow him in the number 9 machine. How about fighting on the outside? We haven't talked about him tonight. That's Austin Belke, who started way in the back, has that beautiful Jeff Gordon throwback in the golden chrome. He just pulls the crazy Jeff Gordon throwbacks out of nowhere, and now is fighting for another top 5.
The Chroma Premier car is technically the branding for that car for tonight, but he has Donnie Moore to his inside. Battle for the inversion spot, by the way, currently sees Kurt Smith in the 8th position in the 6th machine you see right in front of Mike Holloway, as Donnie Moore just about clear of Belke. Near contact behind him, Bruce Pierce and Kurt Smith nearly making contact, all while Shepard tries to hold on to the lead.
Quite a gaggle about mid-pack as Shane and Seneca side by side almost got into each other as well. One of them got extremely loose. So as these battles continue to commence this late in the race and with the track temperature still fairly warm, you have to control these cars, and Pearson slows down into the inside wall on the front straight.
The 22
No
is spun around, no caution yet. He's turned it back around. We will stay green.
Track temperature still at 86 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's still absolutely slick out there coming to 15 to go. You have to recognize that as these cars continue to evolve. Meanwhile, James Lowe still keeping on the hunt here for J.R. Shepard.
Keep in mind that James Lowe is quicker than Shepard at the moment by about half a tenth to 3/4 of a tenth of a second. Also have Kibbe, who is the quickest car on the track once more with a 14.4 last time by. That is only 1/10 of a second difference from the best laps turned so far by some of these drivers as lap traffic ahead. Pearson letting by the race leaders.
And what that time difference says to me, Justin, is how well these guys have been running their pace. You see them going by the lap car here. That's not the fastest lap that they could possibly run, about a 14.6. That was them controlling their own tempo and understanding what pace do I need to maintain my right front tire. And that's just how well these guys have done it. Their pace hasn't fallen off much, but they are on the edge of that speed and benefits of the right side tire.
Keep in mind that Lowe is providing a ton of pressure, who is coming off the win in the Tour Modified Series. Shepard won the street stock race earlier on tonight, but coming up to 10 laps to go, the gap is growing. Shepard now starting to pull away up to half a second with 10 to go.
Ooh, Lowe got loose off the corner and now gets into the grasp of Kenny Kibbe. These are your 4 typical championship competitors the past couple of seasons now. Morgan will try to make something work on the outside. He had the hole given to him. I don't think he's going to be able to really make much work. And this is what James Lowe or J.R. Shepard loves to see. His other 3 championship competitors duking it out behind him by about a second.
Lost 4/10 last time by, now 8 laps to go. As you see right now, no space for Kibbe to try and dive from 6th to 3rd so far this race. At this point, do you try and make the move if it opens up, or you try and take the points?
Well, if it opens up, you try to make the move. That's the only thing that you can do here at Lanier, because that's really the only time that you can pass is when that door opens. Obviously, you don't want to force anything. These guys all race very respectfully, very clean. They all like each other, I think, for the most part. So these guys will race clean, but you really want those points here as we get to the end of the season. You need every bit if you're going to beat J.R. Shepard.
Right now, Shepard is now leading by 1.1 seconds with 5 laps to go this time by. Of note, the inversion spots have separated out a little bit. Kurt Smith, Donnie Moore in 7th and 8th. Jeffrey Harden still slightly within range by about a second, but they continue to build up a cushion to Harden, you can see.
How about Harden was a lap down earlier, started this race in 18th position, finished 4th here last year, now just looking to gain one more spot to give him the provisional pole for next week.
Solid spot, but the battle for second is now side by side. Kenny Kibbe now to the inside of James Lowe after a slide out of the corner. Kibbe riding next to the yellow dash marks with 2 laps to go with the squeeze.
Able to get at least a nose on Lowe, trying to seal the deal on the inside lane. And you can see even that outside lane getting the momentum off the corner as opposed to the outside momentum lane. Kibbe taking away P2 as Morton now looks to step on the final spot on the podium.
Final lap from Lanier as J.R. Shepard put on a dominating second half of this race. He wins once more in the BRL's Grand National Series. He's your winner at the Lanier Raceplex. Second goes to Kibbe. Lowe holds on to 3rd spot by a couple 100ths. And as the fireworks go off, another dominating one for J.R. Shepard tonight.
No, JR is going to be the king of conserving that right front, and he certainly did it again tonight. You could just see the speed was just on another level compared to everyone else at the end of that race. He's looking to reclaim his championship crown after missing it for one season so far in the 4 seasons that we have completed.
52 laps led for J.R. Shepard tonight. He'll get the chance to celebrate in victory lane. Post-race coverage coming up in just a moment. They're watching the BRL's Grand National Series from the virtual Lanier Raceplex. Welcome back to the virtual Lanier Raceplex for more coverage of the BRL's Grand National Series. After what was another dominating performance for J.R. Shepard, more than half the laps led by him once more tonight, and it ends up being his 7th victory of this season. Kenny Kibbe comes home in second tonight by 1.4 seconds at the separation for the margin of victory, with James Lowe dropping to third in a drag race with Justin Morden. Austin Belke, along with Mike Holloway, 5th and 6th. Kurt Smith and Donnie Moore round out the inversion spots tonight. Jeffrey Harden, the first driver out of the inversion spots, was 4/10 behind in 9th. Ruben Altis recovered from an earlier incident where he was in a massive stack-up to a top 10 finish, Devin.
Ryan Seneker brings it home in P11. Adam Shane in 12th. Joe Segala picks up 13th. Bruce Pearson in 14th. The 17 of Chris Wolfson comes home in the top 15 spot. Mike Ellen ends tonight in P16. 17th goes to Lowell Jewell. Jason Menda, Mark Herzog round out your 19-car field tonight at Lanier.
That's a look top to bottom at your finishing order for tonight's action. As the driver who took home the checker flag tonight was J.R. Shepard. Joining us now is the 3rd place finisher to start things off, James Lowe, after what was a solid night. Or rather, J.R. Shepard will now join us from the virtual victory lane. JR, how are you feeling about the run tonight? More than half the laps led your direction.
Yeah, kind of unexpected. Lanier is definitely a track that I struggle with my driving. It just doesn't fit my driving style very well, but I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I think I only won this race because of Kenny. So Kenny's a dominant driver at a track like this. He really knows how to get into the get into the corner and let the car roll and use the braking correctly. So we talk a lot and exchange information after races, and some of that paid off just from Kenny. So I appreciate everything that he helps me with. And yeah, it was just a surprising run for me.
This ends up growing your points advantage by a little bit more at this point. What are your thoughts for the final couple races for the championship fight, where you look to take control and win another BRL Grand National Series title?
Yeah, I haven't looked at points. I try not to until the last couple of races and go from there. But Yeah, anything can happen. I mean, we saw the stuff that happened at Martinsville earlier in the year. So, connection issues or just being taken out in a wreck or something can put you way behind and throw everybody else back into it. So we'll just keep going race to race and see how it works out.
Speaking of the next race on the calendar, it's going to go to Lucas Oil Raceway. That is also known as Indianapolis Raceway Park. Your thoughts on that track?
I love the track. I hope that with these cars we can get multiple grooves coming in. It's predominantly a high line track, and I hope we have some options. If it just becomes a high line track, it might be a little boring for everybody that's watching, but hopefully we'll get something going there.
Anyone you want to thank for the run tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. The Bootleg Racing League for allowing us to do this on Friday and Saturday nights, and thanks to my team, Different Path Motorsports, and of course to GSRC. You guys do a great job and really make us look good. So appreciate that, guys. Congratulations
on the run. J.R. Shepard, your winner tonight by 1.4 seconds. Devin Henry's now standing by with your second place finisher, Kenny Kibbe.
How about the accolades, Kenny? JR said the reason why he won tonight was because of you. Some of the help that you gave him helped him get into victory lane tonight. So can you tell us any of those tips that maybe you kind of give JR tonight for how you two were able to bring home the top 2 spots?
Well, I guess I wasn't really aware. Yeah, the restarts just kind of didn't quite fall our way, and I guess at part of the race we did kind of give him a break. We were all battling there. There was like top 4 of us or whatever, and we just kind of bided our time. I was trying to get around him, but I wasn't going to do anything, that I'd regret doing. And but yeah, we were just kind of wrong place, wrong time on a few restarts, and kind of got bogged down. And some of those other fast guys got through the traffic a lot quicker than we did. And once we got up to the front there, we just didn't have enough green flag laps to let things play out. I think we really had a shot at things, at a win maybe, if we would have had some more green flag laps in the second half of the race.
And we really appreciate you having our GSRC action cam tonight, being able to watch you throughout the race. So smooth on the wheel tonight with such a hot track temperature. What did it take to keep this car pointed straight? A lot of drivers getting really loose throughout this one.
Yeah, it takes a lot of finesse to drive these cars, and it's a combination of wheel input and your brake and throttle inputs too. You got to ease off the gas or onto the gas, and you got to ease onto the brake, not use too much brake, and be real fine with your wheel turning. Really your goal is to minimize the amount that you're turning the wheel, because the more that you turn it, the more you're scrubbing rubber. So that's what I tried to do. Tried to wrap the bottom the whole night, and just try to coax this thing to the end of the race. You really have to take care of it really until the very end.
Well, a fair amount of finesse tonight, Kenny. Congratulations on a P2 finish. Who do you have to thank for bringing it home on the podium again?
Yeah, just everybody at the Bootleg Racing League for coming together every week and doing this, not only on Saturdays, but on Fridays as well. To all my friends that like to watch these races every week, and you guys at Global SimRacing Channel for everything you guys do week in and week out, and pushing the limits with these new innovations you guys come up with. And thanks again for allowing me to be your little guinea pig here for this webcam thing. It was pretty fun, and I appreciate you guys helping me get this together, and it was fun participating, that's for sure.
Hey, our pleasure. So glad and so appreciative of you going and having our camera tonight. So thank you again for that, and great job tonight on P2 finish. Congrats.
Thanks, David.
Kenny Kibbe with the GSRC action cam here tonight. Well, now let's hand it on back over to Justin Prince, who has our third place finisher tonight, James Lowe.
Yes, indeed. And James, first things first, you had to work for that third place finish. What happened in those closing stages where it seemed you started slipping and sliding?
There's just too many heat cycles on the tires. And just a couple times there early where, like when the leader there almost spun out in front of me. So I took his high side, which, grand scheme of things probably wasn't ideal. So used up the tires a little bit more than I wanted to. But, you just gotta kind of deal with what comes at you here. And we just got unlucky.
Now, when it comes to this track, what makes this track unique compared to some of the other tracks on the schedule? Because it was talked about by some needing to be having finesse and being careful. What was your approach for this track?
Yeah, I mean, I was early off the gas, going down straightaways and trying to get back on it pretty quick. And, it worked out for the other division for the rest of the other night. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I needed. This place is tough. And, those guys, they drove a great race and just put it on us tonight.
Next race goes to Lucas Oil Raceway. Your thoughts there?
Hide, wide, and handsome, I guess they say. So we'll see how it goes. Everybody's going to be running the top, I'm sure. So it might be a train of sorts. And hopefully some of the cautions, calm down a little bit and we can get some long runs in.
Who do you want to thank for the run tonight?
I thank my team, Balls Out Racing, Lowell for putting the league on, and you guys for broadcasting. Y'all do a great job.
Congratulations on the run tonight.
Appreciate it.
That's James Lowe coming home in third tonight. I'd like to thank him, Kenny Kibbe, and J.R. Shepard for taking the time to speak with us. Again, for Kibbe for taking the time to have our action cam for tonight. Now, Devin, your final thoughts on what was an interesting race, an entertaining one, to say the least.
Yeah, a wild one, especially coming there at the end. Did anyone have anything for J.R. Shepard? Someone has to find a way to pounce on this guy in the final races of the year to claim a championship away from that 98. We go from a short track bottom feed track to a wall-eating track next week at the good old IRP. Excited to see what these Grand National cars take there in the Bootleg Racing League.
We'll see how drivers fare, absolutely, but we'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's exciting action for the virtual Lanier Raceplex. We'd also like to thank Bootleg Racing League for organizing this exciting series. We'd also like to thank the companies providing the software and hardware for broadcasts listed up on screen, with additional thanks to Jude Malone, who provides her wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks as well to the team tonight and Devin and Sean. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out our merchandise for sale at gsrc.storeandby.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button, as well as the notification bell, so you don't miss a moment. You got the Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race goes to Lucas Oil Raceway on March 13th, where it's going to be an interesting one. Coverage starts at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on screen, so be sure to check those out and mark them down your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.